appreciate it. All right, guys. What's going on? All right. I was gonna ask you who was gonna win, but I don't have to ask now. What's up, y'all? All right, y'all. All right. Man, my man. Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So after Canelo Alvarez dropped a bombshell and pulled this opponent Rocky Fielding out of nowhere, Canelo Alvarez, he gives his thoughts and he explains why he's facing Rocky Fielding. This is what Alvarez had to say. Taking a big challenge more in my career and representing the WBC as 160-pound champion, now I will fight for the world title for the 168 pounds. End quote. You know, I want to say this. When fans try to defend Canelo Alvarez's actions and they say, hey man, there's nothing wrong with him taking the stay busy fight, there's nothing wrong with him taking the tune-up fight, you guys are admitting that this is not a big challenge. Canelo Alvarez just said his goal is to take a challenge. So once again, you guys are trying to defend someone who's not even corroborating your own defense. Listen, man, when you are a champion, there's no such thing as just taking tune-up bouts, taking easier fights, if you will. If you're a champion, you take on all comers, and as Canelo just said it, you take on the biggest challenges. And we already know that Charlo is one of the biggest challenges, his #1 mandatory. That's one of his biggest challenges. We know that Jacobs, Darren Yevchenko, Billy Joe Saunders, those are his biggest challenges. We know that Rocky Fielding is the easiest of all of those opponents. That's the reason why he chose Rocky Fielding. This is the same reason why Canelo Alvarez chose Liam Smith when he was in a division with another Charlo brother and Demetrius Andrade. Both Charlo and Demetrius Andrade were champions at 154, and Canelo Alvarez, he chose and decided to fight Liam Smith. And speaking of Demetrius Andrade, when Demetrius Andrade held that belt, the same belt that Liam Smith had when he fought against Canelo Alvarez, when Andrade had that belt, he called Canelo Alvarez a bitch and challenged Canelo to a fight. And Canelo Alvarez did not fight Demetrius Andrade for that belt. But when Liam Smith held that same belt, that's when Canelo Alvarez wanted to fight for the belt. This is not a coincidence, guys. This is not a coincidence. You have fans in the comment section already doing their best to defend Canelo Alvarez by saying stuff like he doesn't have to prove anything. It's so funny, man. When a fighter has his hope insurance, that's the best benefit of hope insurance. It covers everything. Anything that you do is covered. That's why it's called insurance, right? So Canelo Alvarez, he can fight Rocky Fielding while you have Deontay Wilder about to fight Tyson Fury, while you have Terence Crawford calling out everyone at 147, while you have Errol Spence calling out all the best fighters at 147. While you have fighters like Andre Ward, before he retired, moved up in weight to challenge the most dangerous fighter at 168, at 175 rather, Kovalev, and knocking him out. You have Canelo Alvarez fighting against Rocky Fielding, a fighter that we had never heard of before. I said this before and I'm going to say it again, guys. When Terence Crawford is in a stay busy, tune-up type of bout, he's fighting opponents like Jeff Horn. When Andre Ward is in a stay busy, tune-up fight, he's fighting opponents like Sullivan Barrera, an undefeated Cuban fighter, ranked #1 in a new division that Andre Ward moved up to. So there is no justifying Canelo Alvarez's actions. If Canelo was going to move up to 168, he should have fought the Caleb Smiths. He should have fought the David Benavidez's. These are the type of opponents he should be fighting. Why he didn't fight someone like a Jose Uzcategui? But like I said, when you have your hope insurance, everything you do is covered. Let's just break this down and think about it for a second. So when fans say Canelo, he just had a tough fight against Gennady Golovkin, so this is just a tune-up. So if this is just a tune-up, that means you guys are implying that after Canelo beats Rocky, he's going to come back down to 160, fight Jamal Charlo, fight the winner of Jacobs versus Darren Yevchenko, and the winner of Andre versus Saunders. Is that what you're saying he's going to do? Because I'm telling you guys right now, if he doesn't do that, that's going to make him look horrible. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a possibility that Canelo, he may fight one of those guys. But there is no justifying his actions right now in facing Rocky Fielding. Even a stay busy fight, even a tune-up fight should have been more of a fight that the fans wanted to see. I seen one fan, he defended Canelo by trying to compare what Canelo was doing to what Floyd Mayweather has done. You know, I always find this so funny. The fighter that these fans hated the most, that's who you compare your favorite fighter or one of your favorite fighters to? What does that tell us, guys? That tells us that deep down, these fans that hated Floyd Mayweather, they really envied him. They admired him and they praised him deep down. But they just wish he wasn't black. And that's what it really came down to. That is the only logical reason you would compare a fighter that you really like to a fighter that you claim you despise. So some fans said, hey, you know, Floyd Mayweather, he had tune-ups, so what's the big deal? You name me a time in Floyd Mayweather's prime where he had all types of great opponents to face, and he decided to face a Rocky Fielding type of opponent. Once again, we're talking about in Floyd Mayweather's prime, when Floyd Mayweather was in his early 30s or even late 20s. When did Floyd ever do this? Because remember, if we're going to compare what Canelo was doing to Floyd, we have to compare the 27-year-old Floyd to the 27-year-old Canelo. Or we can compare the 32-year-old Floyd to the 27-year-old or 26-year-old Canelo. You name me one time Floyd Mayweather was facing a Rocky Fielding type of opponent. Every fighter that Floyd Mayweather faced, they either were undefeated, they were either a pound-for-pound champion at the time, or they had just came off the biggest win of their career. And you compare what Canelo Alvarez is doing to Floyd Mayweather, the best fighter of this generation? You could have compared Canelo Alvarez to so many fighters. Why would you compare him to Floyd? You could have compared him to Gennady Golovkin. You could have compared him to Leo Santa Cruz. You could have compared him to Abner Mares. You could have compared him to many different fighters. Why would you compare him to Floyd Mayweather? Are you guys suggesting that Canelo Alvarez is going to have a career similar to Floyd's? You telling me that that Canelo Alvarez is going to be in his late 30s, beating pound for pound champions, undefeated fighters, bigger, stronger than him? Canelo's not even doing that now. So we know he won't be doing that when he's in his late 30s. We don't even know. I don't even believe Canelo will be around in his late 30s. Just like fighters like Fernando Vargas retired early, the same thing is going to happen to Canelo Alvarez, because you can only go so long fighting the Rocky Fieldings and the Liam Smiths before eventually you're going to be forced to face tough competition. We've seen Canelo Alvarez fight tough competition before, but the problem is it's like every couple years we see him get in the ring with tough opposition. And you can't really include Floyd Mayweather because Floyd Mayweather was a smaller fighter, and that was a money grab for Canelo. He really had nothing to lose in a fight like that. As you guys see how he's treated today. You got people basically saying, well, that was just a learning process for him to fight against Floyd Mayweather, and it made him better, etc., etc., etc. People look at that as he was supposed to lose to Floyd Mayweather. So he had nothing to lose and everything to gain in that situation. But when you look at him fighting the Austin Trouts, the Laras, the Gennady Golovkins, you notice there was spaces in between all of those fights. Like sometime a year to 2 years before he fought one of those guys. So you fans could try to defend Canelo all you want, but one thing you cannot do, if you want to start talking about being biased and you want to talk about double standards, you just name the fighter. Name me one fighter that's doing the same type of thing that Canelo Alvarez is doing right now and is getting praise for it by me. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.